I'm glad we have been on the air.
We are on the air.
Yay!
Everyone, welcome to Nuts and Bolts episode 42. I'm David Reinhardt, and I'm joined here by Dustin Triplett
Hello.
and Jared Brazil.
Hello.
And we're here this week to talk about remakes to beloved franchises and stories and such.
And some that weren't beloved got better. Like how much better the new Star Trek is than the old, in my opinion.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I agree with Jared.
Whoa.
I don't like space
THC.
diplomacy. I was born during the time of Next Generation, so for me, that was a show about the Q episodes were good, and the rest of the episodes were about space diplomacy, and I don't give a fuck about space diplomacy, and about the what was the Prime Directive, right, which they weren't supposed to break.
The original series was awesome and goofy as shit and fantastic.
I didn't really have
the new
access to that
movies.
when I was.
The new movies are the 2009 Star Trek is awesome and is basically just Star Wars but called Star Trek, and I'm okay with that. But do not they are different.
Well, no, it's not Star Wars because Star Wars has space wizards with laser swords, which is the main reason why I love Star Wars.
Well, Star Wars had like 5 space wizards with laser swords until the prequels.
Yeah, but they only need 5. I mean, they didn't need 10. They need 100. They needed like 3. And that's all they had.
Star Trek was more thinking until the new movies, and then it became a big action movie, which I was totally fine with. The Star Trek was fucking awesome. Into Darkness, not so much.
I never saw it.
Darkness was pretty good. I liked it.
As soon as you start thinking about the plot, it all fucking falls apart. And not in like a like people say that about like BioShock or whatever.
Like a bad A-Team episode.
But it was the whole con thing was really, really fucking stupid. That they kept it a secret, and then it was him, and then it was really action packed, and I loved watching it. But I didn't keep just loving it like I did the first one. I immediately stopped giving a shit.
Well, how exactly was it stupid? I mean, it was like, okay, this guy wants to do something, he becomes a somewhat
because he was Khan, who is one
all I really know about Khan is that he killed Kirk's son, and then Kirk does his like trademark Khan yell, which I can't do.
Well, but you didn't. It doesn't matter whether. They took a beloved character and ruined him for no reason. Like he would have been. They didn't need to call him Khan. He just could have been.
Well, they brought
someone else.
I mean, they made Leonard Nimoy Spock in the first one with his fucking dentures, and he's trying to talk through his dentures the entire movie, and it was so distracting. He had to keep his teeth in so they didn't fall out. So he talks like this the entire movie. He does that in the
second one too.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I didn't miss that.
Though, if you want to get technical, Star Trek is not a remake, as it exists.
Yeah, it's a reboot.
It's not even a reboot. Yeah. It exists. It's just a sequel because it exists alongside the original stuff. It's an alternate timeline.
No, it's not. That's like saying Transformers.
No, because literally they address that in the movie that when Spock goes back in time, it alters the course of history, and this is the changed timeline.
And you don't think Michael Bay is going to say that at some point and suddenly make everything canon? Yes, he will.
Because there's also like 30 different Transformers anime that all don't agree with each other. So
there's different universes, space.
Well, I mean, that's like saying that. Well, so I guess the Spider-Man is a reboot because that's a different universe, or is it just an alternate timeline?
It's a different universe because they it's not like they said, like literally that is the whole premise of the Star Trek movie is that it is time has changed.
Well, the whole premise of the Marvel universe.
Biff got the almanac.
The entire purpose of all of this, the Marvel universes, is that they are all part of the same multiverse. So, I mean, at that point, then everything Marvel does is in the same continuum of Marveldom. They're just in different realities, I guess.
Exactly. It's not a remake.
Well, again, we're splitting hairs. They made a new Star Trek movie, and they rebooted to the original characters as opposed to going to whatever they're at now. What's the newest? Deep Space Nine, the newest?
No,
Star Trek
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
which I didn't see, many of them.
Wasn't
But-
bad,
It was okay.
actually. It was okay.
Sure.
I never finished it.
And that's fine, but I mean that's what they did. They said, look, we need to go back to Kirk and these iconic characters
I don't
everyone
know.
loved, and they did it successfully. And there's lots of movies they didn't do not so successfully when trying to either reboot or alternate timeline
Well, we don't even have to. It's not even just movies.
or TV shows. I mean, there's almost infinite numbers of things. I mean, I guess
Are
we
we
could say
talking
that
reboots or remakes? Because there's also a difference.
Okay, what is a remake to everyone here?
Tomb Raider to Tomb Raider Legend.
Okay, well, that's not really a remake, though.
Evil Dead to Evil Dead.
To
Okay,
remake
Evil Dead
something,
13.
Evil
Uh,
Dead, Evil Dead
you
is.
take the
RoboCop.
original concept and just basically change it, where a reboot is everything gets boring and you basically just
Starting over.
Yeah. So like instead, like a Sonic reboot would be instead of
Well, they're rebooting Sonic. They're not remaking Sonic.
It's the same. Look, let's not
It's the same
get
thing,
into the
though.
mechanic. Let's not get into it's. It can be either way. It's fine. If you use either word, we'll be fine. It's fine. Let's not get into the word problem of the.
You're
this.
right. You're right.
I'm
Let's talk
looking
about
at
let's
this.
talk about reboots.
So
or
Evil
remakes,
Dead
whatever.
1 is a wonderful piece of film history that I think I loved. And
that you
I'm
have
sure-
to that you have to preface every time you show it to someone with, yeah, there's tree rape in here, but trust me,
Just
it's
a little.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm older
tasteful.
than you. I don't give a shit if there's anything. I just say watch the fucking movie. I'm offended, and that's great. Everyone's offended by everything. There's
No,
people
it's
that
not
are-
even like I don't
especially when you're
expect
talking
you to be
horror
offended.
movies.
I don't expect you to be offended. I just want you to know that yeah, this happens and it's weird, but it serves the creepy mood. So don't I don't give a shit if you're offended. I just
Why
it kind of
spoil
comes
it?
out of nowhere.
Why spoil it? Because it's such like a minor part in the movie, and it's like in the middle. Just by mentioning that up front, it's kind of like you're
It's
gonna
a
go.
really
Now you're
big-
waiting
like,
for
it's-
tree rape.
Weird.
Is that
Yeah.
tree gonna rape? Is that tree? Which tree's
It's
gonna
really
rape?
it's really weird and it comes out of nowhere. And Sam Raimi didn't want it in the movie.
Well, tough fucking shit, Sam Raimi. Tough fucking shit.
But I'm one
And
of
the new
people-
Evil Dead movie.
I
Does
didn't
anyone
hate
like
it.
the new Evil Dead?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was
I
it
liked
wasn't,
it.
it wasn't as good. It was basically the same. It was a modern update, but the original's still so good that I would just say go watch that anyway, even though the effects. So, sure, some of the effects are dated, but that makeup they used is still very unsettling. So
Sure. That's what I'm saying. That's what people I think want to talk about is if reboots or remakes are necessary. Because
Yes.
obviously there's technological problems that can be fixed over time. Kind of like Jurassic Park. When you look at Jurassic Park, that movie still looks great. Like what is it? 20 years? It doesn't look great?
yeah, it does.
It does. It looks
Yeah, those.
fantastic.
Yeah, that movie, so if they want to remake that, well, yeah, it's kind of outdated because of how the computers work, and there's a couple of things that are a little weird. But that whole movie holds up. We actually watched that in 3D last year when it came out in theaters again. Pretty good. Not really 3D, but for what it was, for a movie that's 20 years old, it came up really well. There's no reason to remake that, except if you want to, change it to Windows 8 has the virus instead of fucking DOS 3.0.
Well, I mean, like I kind of brought up, there's Tomb Raider had two remakes, kind of. It had Tomb Raider Legend when they literally just they
Was
they
that a
fixed-
remake though?
it was Tomb Raider 1, but with without shitty controls. Because I don't know if you've played the original Tomb Raider games lately. They control like hot ass.
I'm
Are we
sure
doing
they
video
do.
games too? Is this a video games as well as movies?
Yeah,
and
why
TV?
not?
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure
Then last year's Tomb Raider was a reboot, and did it again, but was really well. I mean, both Tomb Raider Legend and Tomb Raider were both really fucking awesome.
Okay, well they've remade Final Fantasy 3 about 17
Well,
times.
they just literally they remade it once, and they just keep re-releasing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but I mean they still, they technically remake that for
But
every
the difference
system.
is with Tomb Raider, they literally changed the way it plays.
But did they change the story?
Yeah.
The first one, no, and the second one, yes.
So the first one they didn't change. They just updated the graphics and controls.
No, they changed, like they had to fundamentally remake the game because that original physics system isn't. I mean, Tomb Raider was a tile-based movement game.
I hated the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anywhere in that fucking thing. I wanted to shoot things. I did not want to climb. You forgot what?
I forgot like all about like the gameplay. It was tile-based. I remember.
Yeah,
like,
it was tile-based.
Yeah, like in I played that in like Target, and it's like you just kind of like hop forward, hop to the side.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
and then
Tomb
Raider, all about that.
Tomb Raider Legend played like the Tomb Raider games before they made Tomb Raider. You know, the 360s, like what was it, Underworld?
Yeah, there's a Legend, Underworld, and wasn't there one more?
There was one more, Anniversary.
Isn't that like just the same as Legend though? It just has like additional levels from like throughout the history or something.
Maybe, I can't remember.
Huh.
Or maybe Tomb Raider Legend was a new game and Anniversary was the remake.
That makes more sense, probably.
Regardless, I really liked the new Tomb Raider.
Oh, it's one of the best games I've ever played, from a gameplay standpoint and from a story standpoint.
Yeah, actually, it was. I don't know if it's one of the best games I've ever played, but it was really good.
Did they change it so her chest isn't like a size 38 triple C or?
They actually did. Yeah.
That's nice.
They're still big, but they're not huge.
They're not dead or alive popping out at you.
No.
Yeah.
It's like she's actually
I mean, that was kind of.
Yeah, but she is covered up the whole time. It's not. She's not flaunting it.
Well, that was the joke, right? In the original Tomb Raider, they just fucked up one of the numbers, and it made her so she had a huge chest. And they're like, "Wait a minute, that's fucking really good idea. Let's keep that shit." And then they just did. So, I think it's nice to have it a little bit more realistic. Though Angelina Jolie did play her in the movies, so there is that as well. She was kind of those movies not good. That second one fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Fuck. Good for you. Never see it ever.
I never will.
Never ever see it.
Nope.
So I'm trying to think of other video games they've remade, like actually remade. I mean, they remade Monkey Island,
but they really didn't, because you could hit a button and switch back to the old graphics, and it worked just like in gameplay system.
But it's still a remake. It just has an option to play the old.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a reskin than a remake. I know they're remaking the first Ratchet and Clank with like a whole new physics engine.
Sometimes, I mean, I think the main thing people have a problem with is the fact that there's no more original IP. There are original IPs, but they don't. They're just like, you know what we could do? We could just take games that people used to like and just reskin them and put them out and save a bunch on at least story mode. It seems like it's a cop out sometimes. Monkey Island was a great game, and I'm sure the remake's super fun.
Well, yeah, they're just Monkey Island 1 and 2 again.
Yeah, but it's like
they
maybe
did make more. They did that at the same time they were making more Monkey Island. They made Tales from Monkey Island, which continued the series.
Yeah, that was like the subscription,
one.
The Telltale subscription.
It was Telltale. It was really I loved those games. They were great.
No, I'm saying it was like you had to buy the episode, so I consider that
it was
a subscription game. Yes, I consider those.
Yeah.
If you make me buy the game over several months, I consider that to be a subscription-based video game.
Okay.
Because I can't just I'm just saying that's how I consider those games. Like if you're saying, what is it, Walking Dead, there's a subscription to that. You have to you're gonna have there's X number of episodes, and you're gonna have to spend money every X number of months to play this entire game.
You just buy the entire game at once, and then you just get the new episode each month.
Yeah, subscription it doesn't really work because there are literal games that you pay subscriptions to, and that's
sure.
And
I'm just saying for me,
like you pay for access, I guess, but I don't understand why you brought that up.
I guess I don't know. That's how they work in my mind. It's the same thing like the people that buy the.
It's still more Monkey Island. I don't understand what that has to do with anything. With the
well, no, we were talking about the original ones, and then you brought up the new one, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of a remake.
But no, the problem was you were saying that they were just remaking them and not making more, but they weren't. They were literally making more Monkey Island at the same time.
No, I'm saying they remade the same game. They reskinned an old game. They could have just made the new one. They could have just been like, okay,
but
we're going to let you play
it. And it came to they reskinned it because it came out on Xbox and PlayStation 3. it's bringing it back to a new audience, because the difference with a lot of that stuff is games, like movies, people still look like people. Like that's not going to change. Sure, the picture may be clear, but and the special effects can be better. But video games with new technology, you can make it look like they wanted to. Like a lot of the times they were hamstrung by what the technology could afford, and it was basically just a re-release with the modern controls and then an option for updated graphics and voice acting, because they didn't have voice acting in the old games, but in Monkey Island 3 and 4 they did, and people really liked who they had as Guybrush. I love those games. I played a little.
Yeah, I would really like them to do that with Space Quest. I played all the Space Quest games, and those are some of my favorite ever. And Sierra, that was what I played when I was a kid, was Sierra games, and they've never really. They've kind of remade them. They remade them like maybe 10, 15 years ago. They remade Quest for Glory, and they kind of updated the graphics on those, but they haven't done anything in the last 10 years. So
pretty sure they're working on a new King's Quest,
which is probably the worst out of these Sierra lines. They kept making Leisure Suit Larry games though, because that was kind of porn, and they'd always like, oh, fucking porn, we can do that. Some kind of leisure suit and tits. Yeah, tits and leisure suits still work. Back to movies though. The 80s, they just started making a bunch of 80s movies in the last 5 or 10 years. A-Team, which was good. I love Rampage, and
except the A-Team was a movie of the TV show. Like,
can we not split hairs the whole episode? It's fine. They remade something that was made 20 years ago.
Yeah, they brought something. Yeah, they brought something that existed in a different form to the modern era in a new way. So it is a remake / reboot, whatever the hell you want to call it. Regardless.
But yeah, it's not like the Sex and the City movie, or they're gonna make an entree. They're just okay. Now we had this series. Now it's all the same cast, and we're just doing something later. You know, they didn't get BA back. They didn't get Mr. T to fucking be a badass when he's 60.
The A-Team movie was good, though.
It was good. Those old episodes are hard to watch. They're fun. Yeah, it was. What was it, Dustin?
I said I haven't seen it. I just remember like the trailer, them like falling out of a helicopter or something and parachute. Like drove a tank, I guess, out of like an airplane. That's like all I know of that movie.
They remade Nightmare on Elm Street, which was not good.
Did they?
Yes.
How the hell did I miss that? I don't know how the hell I missed that.
Who was in that? I want to say Rooney Mara was in that before she was famous.
Did those I was never big into those. Were those needed? Like, do those movies still hold up?
The remake of Friday the 13th was fucking awesome. If you like the Friday the 13th movies, you should watch the new one instead, because it is better, and it's actually quite funny.
Better than Jason X?
Yes, better than Jason X. Jason X was garbage.
Which is the one in space?
Jason X.
Yeah. So is that considered like a reboot within like the Jason series?
it was a sequel. It was continuing it on in the future, whatever. It was fucking. But the new one is the 2009 Friday the 13th was, and I liked it.
So what do we think about like Prometheus, which is the ever popular prequel?
That's a prequel. It was garbage.
It was fine.
It was a garbage movie.
I didn't hate it.
It didn't make any sense.
No,
and not in a good way. Like, it wasn't interesting in the way it made. It wasn't weird enough for it to not make any sense. It was.
Did it make more sense than the Star Wars prequels?
Yes, because you understood basic character motivation and plots in Star Wars. They were just shitty.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Do you understand?
Yeah, I asked the question for a very specific reason, because I think everyone has seen the Star Wars prequels, and they know the level of those. So I haven't seen Prometheus because I'm not a big Aliens guy, so I just wanted to see where it ranks up with something that people can have a yardstick of, like, wow, Star Wars, midichlorians, fuck you. You know, that's kind of where people are. Jar Jar Binks, fuck those people. So I wanted people to have like an understanding of what you think of Prometheus as opposed to the cultural landmark that is Star Wars.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
The difference was, yeah, the Star Wars prequels, they took something really good and made a really shit story with it and ruined everything we loved. Whereas Prometheus, they took a really good setting and story and stuff and made a really interesting movie that didn't make any fucking sense.
So what do you guys want remade? Other than the Star Wars prequels, what would you like remade? Something from your childhood, or man, I really wish they did. I'm sure David's going to have some type of horror movie because those are his movies. How about you guys? What would you like to remake?
I would actually like, well, I can't think of any movies, but I would really enjoy like World of Warcraft, like getting remade like from the ground up, not just like new characters and stuff like they're kind of doing. Just because it's like I spent so many literal days thinking about it, like in that game.
Yeah.
It's like I know where everything is, and it's like I would like to see someone else's like vision, just kind of like altering it enough to make it original.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a super interesting game, and it better obviously as long as it isn't EverQuest 2, which was awful. But Blizzard makes amazing games, and they might be already making it. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you never have any idea what Blizzard's doing.
True.
But you know, that would be. I mean, that's been strong for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So an amazing IP, Warcraft in general. How about you, David?
I'm still thinking. I
Okay.
hadn't thought about
Well,
this.
I'm super happy that Gem's being remade because when I was a little kid, I had a crush on Gem. I'm not kidding. I've always wanted the Gem face paint to become like super popular on girls, and it never has. I've been waiting for like 30 years to see girls with just fucking giant pink things on their face all day. It hasn't happened.
Found Jared's secret. Well, I guess not secret.
Not
fetish.
secret. I'll fucking tell you all sorts of stuff I love, but that is something I've always wanted. I'm really excited to see what that is, and
No, I know what I
I would
want.
really like them. And I really want them to remake the original Phantasy Star, which is probably one of the hardest video games ever. Just not because it was hard, but because the puzzles and the secrets were so hard. I played that game for years. Like I played that game more than I probably play any game, and I've never beaten it. I actually need to watch a let's play on Phantasy Star so I can actually see the ending. I've never seen it.
I want them to remake Twin Peaks because that show is awesome.
Silence. Yeah. Okay.
No one watched Twin Peaks, really? Fuck you guys.
Not really. Which one's is Twin Peaks the time traveling one?
No.
It's what Alan Wake is based on.
And Deadly Premonition.
So it's like just like a small town with a mystery.
There's a murder. Okay. And then there's possession, and it's really weird. It's by David Lynch. Do you know who David Lynch is?
Yeah, I know David Lynch.
Yeah. So it's really fucking weird.
Yeah, again, you're really into that kind of horror and stuff. Like, if you want to see me, like, I want to see. I saw Rambo when I was a kid. Like, that's the first thing I ever wrote for this site was about Rambo, the video game, which was terrible. The horrible preview for Rambo, and like that's the stuff I watched when I was a kid. When I was able to watch stuff, it would be like your Rambos and Star Wars. I wasn't really big on the horror or mystery.
They kind of remade Rambo.
The same character though. I think if you have the same main character, it's not really a remake.
Yeah, it's like just a continuation of the story then.
Well, I know, yeah. but it would if they remade Rambo, it would still be about Rambo. Do you mean the same actor?
Yeah, I'm saying it was still.
You said character. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry,
not
you're right.
Character. That's
still the same. That's fine. It's still Sylvester Stallone being the same guy. I would like it to be. Okay, he was in the Gulf War somehow. The kind of like what they do with the Punisher. The Punisher, they just kind of push up like, well, he wasn't in Vietnam. He was actually in Kuwait somehow.
So then let's talk about two movies that did just that came out recently: Total Recall and RoboCop.
I haven't seen either. Don't want to.
RoboCop, I would recommend watching. Actually, I liked the RoboCop remake. It's not better than the original, but it's different enough to where it was quite interesting. They approached the whole story from a different angle. The Total Recall remake is garbage. If it wasn't called Total Recall, it would be a decent but completely forgettable action movie. But because they called it Total Recall, it's fucking shit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. If you have an IP and you fuck it up, it doesn't get that grace period of if you have like your own original thing, people go, oh, I like this for what it is, but if you make some terrible movie and it's in some universe, then people are going to be a lot harder on it.
Yeah, well,
that's the other part of that stuff that's hard. Like if you have a great video game, then you fuck it up. Like what was that? The new Aliens game, Alien Colonial Marine, which was an unmitigated disaster. It would have been a mitigated disaster no matter what. But when you have an existing franchise, then you're just like, not only that you're a hack and a fucking shitty programmer and unoriginal and all sorts of bad things. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, oh, well, everyone knows about Aliens, but man, you're going to get to the fucking fans of that shit just piling on you if you fuck it up.
Yep.
Dun, dun.
And that's why they would
remake
Firefly.
No, we don't need a remake of Firefly.
Nope.
We could use some more. I mean, they've made a little bit more Firefly, and it's been pretty good. But
does really comics?
They're good. Yeah, they're good.
No.
They made more. They're good.
No, the show died with Serenity.
They're good. Like the comics are good. Why can't they make more?
Because
well, I mean, at that point, then we'll say that the Star Wars universe has more than Doctor Who has like 1 billion books out, and Star Wars EU, even though it's not canon anymore, has a ton of stuff out too. I mean, if we want to talk about, we can go on forever about IP.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't understand why that was even brought up in the first place.
What?
Firefly?
Firefly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the comics are good. There is more, but that's.
Well, I'm saying. I think people want that remade. I think there's still brown coats out there that are looking
they
to have
don't
that
want
shit
it
remade.
remade. They want.
No, they do.
No, they don't.
do.
No. They want more. They don't want it remade because if you did,
they want it with the same guys.
Yeah, that's not a remake.
yeah.
That's just more.
But they have. Well, I mean, yeah, they want that, but they're not going to get that. But they have a better chance of getting it like completely remade with.
But that's not what they want. No one wants that.
Well,
I think they would give it the benefit of the doubt. Like those guys, the people that are the hardcore brown coats are gonna, if you put something with the Firefly franchise, if you get that universe, you give it a show, they're gonna watch it. They might fucking tear it apart, but man, that first episode, there's gonna be a shitload of people watching it. So that's the thing. It's like with the new Star Wars stuff. You have that audience. You could fuck it up, but you're gonna get that. You have the audience. Like,
That.
Well, no, I'm saying they made new ones. I'm saying they have 7.
Well, I mean, that's still not it's still more of it anyway. It's not even a remake.
But I'm saying
I'm agreeing with you because you're right there because they did make more Star Wars after 20 almost 30 years, sort of about 25 maybe, and it was shit, and people still watched all 3, and they're gonna see the new one because they want it to be good.
Star Wars is a license to print money. It has been a license to print money for more than my entire life. There's been no setting in my lifetime that has been more profitable and more just completely loved by people than Star Wars. The Stormtroopers, the 501st. There's so many people that love the idea of that universe that if you don't fuck it up, if you make it halfway decent, you make $1 billion. That's not $1 billion. That's not even a question. Like, you're going to sell toys. You're going to sell movies. Disney knows that if they want to make $1 billion, you make a good Star Wars movie. Then you make a good Star Wars TV show. And then you make more Star Wars games. And you just watch the money pour in, because I will give you that money. If you give me what I want, which is awesome Star Wars stuff, people are going to pay. And the same thing will happen with Serenity. Firefly. If you make something great in the Firefly universe, there's a built-in audience that are going to make sure that does really well.
Incorrect. Because the built-in audience is small, and there's no guarantee it'll actually generate enough money as what it would cost.
Serenity made a pretty good amount of money.
No, it did not. It was a failure at the box office.
Really?
What?
Yes.
Was it?
Well, that's why they didn't make anymore. That's why the show got canceled.
What's the show? The show was way. One second.
The show got canceled because Fox just mismanaged everything, and they aired the episodes out of order.
Yeah, I know. I watched it when it originally aired. I know the story of Firefly, but no, the Serenity did not make it. It made I think it made its budget back, but it did not do well at the box office.
It may have made like his budget back in DVDs or something.
Just
It
like
made way over its budget back in DVDs. But you're right, it made just about its budget back.
just like Veronica Mars.
No,
Most
Veronica
people-
Mars made a ton of money, right? They
No, it
Kickstarted
did.
that.
Yeah, but it made a ton of money on Kickstarter. But it's a fucking movie. It costs a lot. They cost a lot of money to make, especially with those actors, and it did not make that much money at the box office either, which is a shame because that show and movie are fucking phenomenal.
Well, it had like a limited run in theaters too, so it wasn't like
Theaters.
everywhere.
Theaters, Dustin.
Theaters, whatever.
Theaters.
We call
Why
them
are you
theaters.
pronouncing the A? It's not. You don't pronounce the A.
I was
what
on
we-
Dustin's
we do this
Facebook
in Missouri.
before, and he says his languages in his account are American English, British English, and Black speech. So he has a wide variety of ways to communicate with us, and theater might be part of his British English background.
It's
It
not,
is.
because if you pronounce theater like that, you're also not talking about a movie theater.
Well, we have fancy theaters here in Missouri.
No, you don't.
You're right, we don't. They're like fucking dumpsters with overpriced popcorn. But that's every theater I've been to.
But anyway, back
Reboots.
to remakes.
Reboots. So yes, I still think Firefly would be able. I think now the way you can make things, you could make it profitable. I don't know if you'll be, I don't know if you can make a major motion picture profitable, but I think you can make a series just from how easy technology is, like how much better the technology is now. I think it's easier to make a space-themed TV show.
Incorrect, sir.
Okay, please explain.
It's still really fucking expensive.
I'm saying it's less expensive.
Yeah, but
And it's easier to acquire that money. Just look at
it's
Rooster Teeth.
really not less expensive 'cause if you want it to look good.
thing.
It's got to look like it's still what people want out of it. It still has to look really good.
Firefly looks pretty good. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, Firefly how old is it? 10 years now. Still looks pretty good.
Yeah, parts, but people want more out of stuff. That's why.
I think. Well, that's the thing. Like you have to be smart enough to know where to use your budget and where not to. There's definitely places where you can go. Yeah,
And
this is.
that's why they haven't made any more Firefly. Joss Whedon says like he knows it's not a good idea. It's not going to work. That's why he hasn't touched it.
Sure. I'm saying there's definitely a person out there that could make it for a price that would be profitable. Just because to get any type of loyalty on a TV show is pretty difficult, especially one that's been around for 10 years that hasn't had anything out in 7 years or however long it's been. It's pretty amazing that people still give a fuck about a one-season TV show that had one movie. And so if anyone still cares, that's pretty amazing.
That's not true at all.
They
If people care because it's really good, like all throughout, I mean, we still give a shit about books that have been written hundreds of years ago because they're really good. Like that's kind of a moot argument. People will keep the things around that are quality for decades and hundreds of years.
Except for
Well,
Fox.
True. Well, I think the thing is when things are really popular, usually they stay on TV, or they make more movies. I mean, that's what people want, right? If
But
things are
Firefly
popular.
became really popular after it was canceled.
Well, I mean, same thing with Star Trek. Star Trek probably
No,
wouldn't have
Star Trek was huge when it was on.
first season. I don't think first season.
No, it was a big deal. I mean, Doctor Who was a big deal when it started.
No, what's his name? Will Wheaton, like he talked about like the first season like all the time, and he was like how they were like struggling
Okay,
to keep it
wrong.
on the air.
Wrong show.
Oh, you're talking about different Star Trek first season?
Yes,
Okay, which one?
the original series.
Oh, okay.
That was also in the 60s when there was like four
70s.
channels. And in the 80s, when there were those same pretty much 4 channels plus a little bit of cable, they barely got that show back. And if they didn't, they could have pulled the plug and they didn't, and then it becomes pretty popular.
Through syndication.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like that's what Fox always got. That's what Fox gets killed for, right? They killed Family Guy in 3 years, and it was like, we really like Family Guy, and they're like, oh, okay, and they just now it's still going. I mean, it's
Well,
just
it
one
got
of those
canceled
things where
twice.
when was the second time?
I don't remember, but yeah, it got canceled twice.
Oh, okay, then fine. Somehow it's really dumb because that show still must make money.
Yo, it made a
Because
bunch of money on DVDs, so they brought it back, and now it'll never die because fuck that show.
Yeah, so did
I do love.
Firefly, but Fox, bringing it back never crossed
Not
their
enough.
mind.
It's different. The people buying Family Guy DVDs are not the same people buying Firefly DVDs.
Anyway, so they won't be remaking that, and I would like them to remake Futurama because I love Futurama, and that got canceled a few times too.
Once.
But
I guess twice, but then it stayed canceled. But the finale was actually really good. Like, they were kind of running out of steam anyway, and they were like, yeah, we'll just end it now. But why would you want that remade? What would you gain from a remake?
I would just like to see a different animation style. I think the visual styles, the only thing that I really like.
You want the same show with new visuals?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Obviously, a different cast, like a different look at. Because I think the thing about cartoon shows, and again, maybe I don't want Futurama. Maybe I just want a futuristic cartoon show. Is there's no budget constraints, right? If there's a giant fucking space battle, there's no constraint. Okay, whatever. It's still drawings. It's still vector art. It's still whatever it is. It's kind of like how, South Park. That show changed a lot visually. It changed a lot in the last 20 years, which it had to. I mean, obviously, but I mean, they've done a lot of different art styles on that show, and that makes it really interesting to watch.
What? South Park's looked pretty much. I mean, it's looked sharper, but it's not a different art style. It's always looked the exact same.
They also have like gags where they change things up, for like.
Yeah, every once in a while they'll do like a different art style in an episode, but that's like a special. Like they only really did it once, well, twice, I guess, but for little sequences, not for like the whole episode.
Yeah, that's the reason why I really like cartoons. I really like the fact that you can do anything. That's the reason why The Simpsons was so popular. The Simpsons, he went to space somehow. Like, somehow he's in the space program. Somehow he gets to do all these fucking crazy things that you couldn't do on a regular TV show. Cartoons give you the freedom to do anything. You can have heads in a jar.
Okay.
You can have any person.
Yeah, but... Yes, I understand what cartoons are.
Yeah, that's why I like them. I like them making. I'm always for more cartoons, because they can bring out.
Okay,
they can
they're
really
not gonna stop making cartoons. They make lots of them, and some of them are really good.
Anyway, so apart from that, I'm trying to think of anything else that was remade recently that was really terrible, that I really didn't like. They do an okay job. I mean, they kind of get shit on. I mean, obviously the fucking Transformers shit.
Well, the first movie.
I don't know if you guys watched the original series.
Yes, I've seen.
It was okay.
I don't know, 5 or 6 different Transformers series, I want to say.
I've only seen the original one, and it wasn't that good, to be honest. And G.I. Joe wasn't. The original G.I. Joe series wasn't that good either.
No, they made 2 awesome modern G.I. Joe series. The Resolute, the Adult Swim one. That's like 40 minutes long and is fucking intense as shit. And I love the movies. Those movies are fantastic. They're really stupid, but in a fun way.
I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I was a kid in the '80s, so I mean those were the shows I grew up on. And
no, I know. I watched both of those too when I was a child. They were reruns, but I grew up on that stuff too. And no, they were garbage, but I loved them when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yep. And those movies are weird. Like they're definitely a different type of movie than the show was. But they're an action movie, and there's laser guns there's wait, is that the one with regular guns or laser guns?
What are you talking about?
The G.I. Joe remake.
The movies?
Yeah.
They had real guns. Nothing but the 80s show had laser guns.
Didn't the
No.
Cartoon Network have?
No.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
It's been a while since I've seen those. Okay.
Well, the Turtles is getting like remade again for like the 12th time, or...
Yeah, every time they do more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, they remake it. That movie doesn't look terrible.
It looks like
a Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, I would have killed to have that like as a kid who was growing up on Ninja Turtles. I mean, Shredder, he looks like a fucking Transformer. That's just awesome. And like,
well, I had Vanilla Ice in my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, so there was always that.
Yeah.
Can we not talk about Vanilla Ice, please?
It's Vanilla Ice or Carrot Top, both of those.
Has anyone seen Vanilla Ice's movie, Cool as Ice? Because it is something.
I have not.
It is something, sir.
I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm sure it's just a masterpiece. It's
the most 90s thing that ever exists.
When did they make the Super Mario Brothers movie? That movie was pretty fucking 90s too. Oh,
that was really fucking 90s too.
Yeah. They don't need to remake that. I don't need to see Mario in movie form. I don't need to see many games in movie form, to be honest with you. I don't need to see another Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I don't need to see...
I could do another Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh,
you want to talk about remakes? What about the remake of Mortal Kombat? That was really fucking awesome. They did the remake justice.
It's just people fighting.
It's just a fighting game. I think all those...
You know what? If Alex Cabral was on here, he would kill both of you.
I don't think those are remakes. I think it's just another video game.
No, they literally... Mortal Kombat in 2009 was a remake. They redid the story. They started over again. It was
a fine game.
It went through. It redid Mortal Kombat's 1 through 3 plot wise.
I don't consider any fighting game to have a storyline except I'm fighting some other person.
Then you have not played a lot of fighting games.
Incorrect. No. See, I played fighting games with actual live people, so I have played a shit ton of fighting games. I used to play.
That is. I have also done that, but I mean, like, I am still in the middle of Persona 4 Arena, which is 90% story and 10% fighting game.
Once again, when I grew up, we had fighting games at arcades, and there might have been a story, but you played those games to fight other people. Those were games of skill and challenge against other humans.
But they've developed them into something more than that.
In
the 20 years since then.
Yeah, and I said that's not how I consume fighting games. I
don't give a shit how you consume it. It doesn't change the fact that the last Mortal Kombat game was a remake.
It's a remake, yeah, but it's still more of the same, and that concept doesn't really change.
That's what a fucking remake is!
Not really?
Really?
Really? I mean, when it's two people just banging each other.
You want to talk about a really fucking stupid remake? Let's talk about King Kong.
Let's remake porn. That's what we should do. Okay, so that there is actually like a good... That's more of a reboot in a sense. It's like the basic...
It's a remake. Story. They've done the same movie 3 times. It's a remake.
Is it always the same time period? Is it always the same time period?
And it's not always good. The Peter Jackson... Jack Black starring King Kong was not good at all.
That was great. Jack Black really sold that movie.
It was so mediocre. It was like... It wanted to be 10 hours long, and it just kept introducing more and more characters and doing jack shit with them. It was just a long, meandering nothing.
Well, I guess the one we should really talk about is the Godzilla remake, which
was fucking awesome.
Yeah, which I think we've talked about before. As for me, I really liked giant robots fighting monsters. What was that?
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. So to me,
we got both Godzilla remakes.
Yes, but that one had giant robots in it.
Yeah, they reimagined, they quote unquote rebooted. Well, reboot's not a right word. They reimagined Godzilla basically as Pacific Rim, and then they rebooted Godzilla with Godzilla and made Godzilla again. And everyone who bitched that they didn't like the Godzilla reboot was mad because they just made more Godzilla. They didn't make it a different, more moving franchise. They made it a parable, a sort of parable about treating the environment right with shitty human characters that no one gives a shit about and really fucking awesome monster battles that are very infrequent because that's how every other Godzilla movie is.
Yeah, that's the reason why I like Pacific Rim, because they were just like, we're just going to pick up a tanker and we're going to throw it in a monster for a couple hours. I mean, that was like half the movie. I guess it's kind of the same thing as like Avengers, I guess, right? Avengers was we're gonna have half the movie be a fight, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with going to the movie and expecting a large portion of my movie to be action sequences, if I'm going for an action movie. And I think that's kind of I do think it's a valid criticism if you go to an action movie like Godzilla, which obviously has a story and a mythos and all that stuff. I can understand wanting more action.
I could understand wanting more action, but I don't understand expecting it from that movie.
Lots of people. I haven't seen like every Godzilla movie, so I mean, if you're like, I'm gonna see this monster movie.
Ones? Did you see any of the ones in the past 10 years that weren't the awful 98 one?
No, I haven't.
Well, there's your problem. You didn't know what to expect, and you're mad because
I don't need to expect. No. So here's the thing. I don't have to expect shit. I just have to go and be like, okay, there's gonna be a monster movie. I remember Pacific Rim. I want to see that again. Oh, it's going to be with Godzilla. I've heard of Godzilla. I'm going to see Godzilla, but now it's like Pacific Rim style Godzilla, and it wasn't, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying they did a bad job with the movie. I'm saying I don't think it's unreasonable for people to be like, wow, that movie didn't have enough action in it. Like, I really expected more. I don't think, and I understand what you're saying like, oh, well, that's kind of how Godzilla movies go, but, movies change because that's what movies do. Like, you have to look at what the current climate is when you make a new movie. I'm not saying it's wrong. Okay.
You're kind of, you seem to be, your theory seems to be that movies should be what everyone wants them to be.
Movies are a business, and they want to make money.
Movies are an art form that are...
Oh, shit, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. No, they're not. They're there to make money. Lots of fucking money. That's what they're there for.
No, they do both.
It's an art form that exists to make money.
No, they can be fucking both.
Of course they can.
Yeah, but they make movies that there's a fucking difference. I'm not saying that every movie is art. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you always have to jump straight to like the deepest conclusion? They're both. Am I saying like Godzilla is art? No, but there are movies that are art. Like, it's not, movies don't just exist to make money. That is a sweeping generalization that is wrong.
I think everyone that puts out a movie commercially wants to make money.
They're not necessarily, and it's not always.
So you're
changing. You're already changing your tone and saying commercially.
Any movie, unless it's a YouTube video by two guys in their garage beating each other off, is going to involve money, and you want to at least make that money back, and you kind of want to make more than that just to,
Yeah, but there's a reason why studios put out their blockbusters to make all their money, and then smaller films that they know may or may not, because they want to be creative.
Those are risk and reward movies. They spend little money on the independent films, and they have a small chance of making a shitload of money. Like, how much did Sling Blade make? I'm sure Sling Blade didn't cost a lot of money. It was a cool little art film, but they still wanted to make money. It's like anything else.
But the creator's goal was not to make money. The studio's goal was. You're still generalizing. Just like there are indie games that are weird and sit there, exist to be pieces of art.
I guess you're right. I guess there are people that do not care about money at all. But at some point, there is usually money involved. Unless you're paying for a movie completely by yourself, you can't go to like a studio and be like, "Oh, I'm making this art film," and no one's gonna watch it because it's super arty, but no one's gonna get it, and no one's gonna want to see it. And every studio is gonna go, "Okay, well then fucking make it yourself."
That's what Kevin Smith is doing. He's making movies himself because no one wants to give him money to make movies.
He still asks his people.
Clerks 3 by himself anymore because like he was trying to get that published.
Yeah,
and someone turned it down.
Yeah, the Weinstein.
What's the thing? Like, but then he goes and crowdsources it. He's like, "Look, here's the script. Here's what's going to happen."
He didn't crowdsource Tusk. He just decided that he had money and he made he's making a movie, just like he did with Red State.
Red State, he crowdsourced, right?
No, he did. There were that crowdsourcing wasn't a thing then.
How do you fund that then?
He's Kevin Smith. He made a bunch of fucking money and he funded it himself.
No, what it was is he sent it to like he did like his Smodcast thing where like he rents out a theater and he did like different shows and stuff it all over the world, Well, I guess over the U.S. and
No, he got money from somebody. I'm pretty sure.
he
Let
did
me
like
look.
that, and it like created interest in it because like he would do these
It was
little
independently financed.
showings. He had
Still-
people backing it though.
Let's see. Yeah. Anyway, production. Chicago. Film producers involved. Past. Starring role. Yada yada yada. Yeah, I mean he didn't do it all himself. He did get people to help finance, and then he got people to help him send it out. But then he did the theater tour, right? Like he went around and
Yeah,
kind of showed off.
that was his movie when he was pissed off at film, the system.
And
he's-
American Airlines.
And American Airlines.
And American
No,
Airlines.
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest.
Whatever.
I hate them all.
But we're way off topic here.
That's okay. We did it. They're not going to make more movies, except they are. And 20 years from now, when they remake...
Remakes are inevitable. They've been remaking things throughout human history creatively. Like
I can't wait for a funny thing to happen on the way to the forum, the movie, again. That's going to be awesome. But they'll do it, because sometimes people are lazy, and they see a way of make a quick buck, and that's pretty much what most remakes are. They're using nostalgia to make money again.
That's not necessarily true.
It is.
It's not always.
So, well, you were
Sometimes
talking
people
about...
wanna do something new with a non-original idea.
But I mean, to go about your thing of films as art, like, wouldn't most people want to use their own art?
Sometimes
they'd
you
be
like something. So I mean, Ryan Johnson has made nothing but amazing original movies, and now he's doing Star Wars episodes 8 and 9 because he loves Star Wars. He's gonna fucking put his spin on Star Wars, like.
Art is subjective.
This is true. Art is very
Everything
subjective.
is subject. Life is subjective. So.
Well, I mean, you're either alive or you're not alive. I think that's not subjective.
Yeah, it's not.
What you do with life, if you have a good
Schrodinger's
life...
cat is subjective life.
No.
It's
How
not subjective.
so?
Is it alive or isn't alive? You said you are or you're not. You don't know. It's
alive. Well, it's alive until it's dead.
yeah, but you don't know when that
We
threshold
don't know,
happens.
but it's still an answer. There's still either yes or no.
No, you don't know. You can't
do.
know until
That's
you
what-
open the box.
I'm
Well, see,
sure
knowing isn't the same.
Until
Knowing
it's
isn't
not.
this. Knowing isn't the same thing as saying it is. Like there is no. We don't know a third state. There's alive and dead. We don't know if it's alive or dead. It's
So
still
the
is
third
one of
state
those
is the
things.
limbo where you don't know.
Knowing isn't. Knowing doesn't mean that it isn't happening.
I thought the third state was being an angel.
And that's what they need to remake next. Touched by an Angel, this weekend on ABC Comedy.
I'm honestly surprised it hasn't been remade yet.
Yeah, maybe it will. What's her name still available? The chick who did that movie or that show?
I have no idea. I'm sure
Probably.
she's probably dead. She's probably dead.
Probably dead. Fuck that bitch. She's probably dead. Fantastic. What do we got going on this week, guys? What are you guys promoting?
Well,
been-
I didn't realize we were done.
Oh, I thought
Are we done?
I thought we were.
I
I'm
guess
sorry.
we are. Jared seems to want to end it, so let's end it.
Well, it's been an hour. We're trying to keep this to an hour, right?
It's been less than an hour, but whatever.
I think we kind of touched on everything we can really touch on. I mean, I guess if one more thing, do you guys feel that Kickstarter and like crowdsourcing is like going to be the future for reboots and remakes?
No.
Like say Revenge of the Nerds. Everyone
No.
kind of has nostalgia with that, but I don't think
No,
if someone tried to pitch
they
that
don't.
to like a commercial movie thing, it wouldn't, no one would want to buy that. But on Kickstarter, I could see that getting back to the point where it would actually come to
Really?
life
Because they
somehow.
remake shit all the time.
I mean,
I don't think there is no this is a future for remakes. There are always going to be big budget remakes, small budget remakes. There's always it's not that everyone's out of original ideas, though there's always been remakes. there's always been reimaginings of similar shit, and there's always been new stuff too. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
just
there's also these niche shows and
really,
movies
because
that you
they
never
remade
aren't
Transformers,
going
and it is like one of the biggest franchises ever. So saying like,
to.
yes,
Well,
there are.
obviously they're going to remake
Sure,
that.
sure. You're saying, but you said, will this be the future of remakes?
Okay,
No,
remaking
it's both.
niche stuff that wouldn't
Well, yes,
otherwise
if you
be
want
commercial.
that, but they wouldn't do anything with that commercially if it was an original idea now, because it's not, something big that they can make a ton of money off of.
Well, I mean that's the thing, right? Well, the thing is, they all think they can make money off it, right? Like Veronica Mars thinks they can make money, and everyone thinks they can make money.
Well, Veronica
but they
Mars was
can't-
about making more Veronica Mars, not about.
It was making money to fund more Veronica Mars.
Veronica Mars. Like they wanted to be able to get money. I'm sure they tried to get studios to pay them, and they didn't. So they went to the people, and the people are like, "Yeah, we kind of want this." So it's a way of kind of skipping the middleman and just getting to like, well, people want to make this. So if we can get the money from them instead of some studio, we can still make what we want to make, and there's really no risk for us. So, that's kind of what they did with Veronica Mars, and they might continue to do with these kind of mid-range projects, where I could use $1 million or two, do what I want to do, and still have my audience. And Penn Jillette has his movie coming out that they're doing soon. Make Penn Bad was director's cut. It was his movie that they crowdsourced through Fund Anything. So it's definitely a thing where maybe it's reboots or maybe it's pet projects, but
It doesn't matter. I don't think it's relevant to the discussion in the end. I think there's always an avenue for more some way, but it's do people want it, and if so, is it viable? And sometimes people just fucking make more anyway because they want to make more.
Sure. I guess the thing with Kickstarter and crowdsourcing is just to show that people do want it. I guess that's what the argument is. Like, well, we can prove that people want it because we can get money for it. Like Reading Rainbow, $5 million. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem that crazy. I bet they made way more than that in PBS donations throughout the years.
They made it in 35 days.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, didn't they have people big names though, agreeing to donate big chunks of money though?
Probably.
The only one they had that was a really big chunk of money. There was actually over 100,000 people who I was one of them. I watched Reading Rainbow as a kid. I donated $5. But Seth MacFarlane said every dollar from 4 million to 5 million or something, he'll match it. So he gave $1 million. So the crowd itself gave 5.4, and then Seth gave $1 million. So it's $6.5 million.
I guess technically he could be considered the crowd because it is something he believes in and he wants to donate to.
Seth MacFarlane makes some really shitty stuff, but he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, you can't hate him.
He's why Cosmos is back.
You made Cosmos. Yeah, I mean that's that's good enough for me. That was a wonderful remake. That was a wonderful remake. We haven't talked about how fucking great Cosmos was. Fuck, that was wonderful. You should go see it on Hulu if you haven't seen it yet, and you should learn something. It's brilliant and touching and heartfelt and interesting, and will give you some scientific inquiry and give you some scientific wonder. So you should really go watch. If you don't watch anything else, we've talked about today, go watch Cosmos, because you'll feel smarter after you watch it, and it'll give you a little more faith in humanity after you watch it too.
There's no arguing with that. You watch Cosmos. Yeah, be smarter.
That was the thing we should have been talking about the whole time. We should have just made this why they remade Cosmos and how fucking great it was.
That's something I could get behind.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We could still talk about The Thing.
You didn't talk about The Thing!
They remade that twice.
And you said you loved the first one and hated the second one? Was that?
No, I loved the second one, and I haven't seen the third one.
Oh, I'm sorry. You liked the first remake. Yeah.
Yes, the remake. Everyone thinks that John Carpenter's The Thing from the 80s is the thing that they remade in the 2000s, which is technically both correct and incorrect, because The Thing was a remake of an old black and white horror movie that does not hold up well.
So it was kind of like Schrodinger's remake then. At that point, it was both a remake and not a remake at the same time.
Well, no, it was both a remake and not a remake at the same time, because the new Thing is actually a prequel. It's what happens to the Icelandic base that they show the dog running from at the start of the movie. but it is basically the exact same movie. And they called it The Thing again, even though it's a prequel. Like, it was weird. It was I haven't seen it. I just know about it that it is basically the exact same movie except a prequel. So it just happened twice.
The only thing I know clobbers things because it's almost always clobbering time. That's the thing I know.
That's actually how I ended up watching the John Carpenter The Thing. Is because I thought it was like, oh, it's the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and it wasn't. The movie fucking scarred me because of that.
Why isn't this Yancey Street? Why isn't there a big orange rock guy?
How could you not tell just from like the box art?
Because I knew there was also a video game of it, because someone told me about the Thing video game on like the original Xbox.
Yes, which is about where you have to measure sanity. No.
This was back when you had to like go to a movie theater and rent games. I couldn't like look it up online.
You have to go to a movie theater and rent games. I just want you to pause and think about what you just said, Dustin.
Well, no, you could...
A movie rental place there.
It still worked. The and made it so it was two different thoughts. You have to go to the movie theater, end thought, and rent video games, separate thought.
No, that was... Do not.
I had to go to Andy's Movie Palace to rent games. That's how it used to work back in the olden days. You go there, they have all fucking shitty movies, some on Betamax, and then you had like a little like tub with some games in it, just kind of mixed around, and then eventually that kind of grew into a bigger section of the store. But back then it was like you go in there, you ask them what's the thing, and they show you fucking Fantastic Four cartoons.
You had a shitty movie store.
Is there anything as a good movie store? Because I think that's why every single one of them is going out of business.
They all went out of business because of the internet, Dustin.
Because
the internet makes everything easier. It was not because they were shitty. It's because we found something better that works because time has changed things.
Well, there's also
things is shitty though.
You still rent things.
Yeah, I guess Redbox, people like that.
You can rent shit on Amazon. I've done it.
Why?
You pay less money and
just pay more money and keep it.
Why? What if I don't want to keep it? What if I just want to watch it once?
How much does the rental cost on Redbox? On Amazon?
Like $4 usually.
Oh wow, that's a lot more expensive than Redbox. Okay.
It depends on the movie. That's the last one I remember because it was Veronica Mars.
Well, with Amazon, you can like watch the movie and then like return it and say like, "Hey, it doesn't work," and I'm upset, and you get the money back. So
there you go.
I've done that so much, not with movies, but like products. I'm like, I just want to try out this little computer dongle thing, and it's like, yeah, I don't like that. It's like free renting. Well, I guess it's paid renting, but with a free outcome.
Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. I don't know. Does anyone have anything? There's always videos. Our live streaming archives going up on the site. Catch In the Lab this weekend, Saturday at You usually start about 3 Eastern.
It's really good, guys. You should check it out.
Yeah, we're playing Light, and I know we decided to start playing Deadly Premonition.
Nice.
So we're gonna keep doing that.
That's a game that I want to play, but I just know I'll never play it, so I feel like watching
It's really good. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's weird like Twin Peaks, but if Twin Peaks was Japanese. And
I know all these references because I've watched Twin Peaks.
I've been live streaming Killer is Dead, which is not as bad as everyone says it is, and also as bad as everyone says it is. It's a conundrum.
Schrodinger's video game.
Yeah.
So is he dead before he's dead, or is he dead after the killers? I don't know.
I think the killers. I still don't get it entirely, but I think Killer is dead because it's like every mission starts with the main guy going, "Mission is Killer's dead," and I think the thing is you're killing killers. It's fucking weird, man. Just watch. Those archives will be going up soon.
Alrighty.
All right.
There's always stuff on the site. Look at the site.
That's GeekensteinLive.com.
Yes.
GeekensteinLive.com is the website.
Follow Dustin on Twitter at Dustin Triplet. Follow Jared at Metal Jared. Geekenstein at GeekensteinLive, and me at Xanthus.
Spell Xanthus for the people, please.
Zanthis.
Wonderful. Excellent. Until next time,
Yes.
fellow
Goodbye.
listeners.
Spelling is hard.
Spelling is
hard.
very hard. Thank you all for listening. We will be back next week with the topic that we will announce later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Toodles.